Get ready, because the shit I'm going to be talking about in this video is going to be a fucking doozy. This video is going to be covering a lot of serious shit that I went through during the years 2022 and 2023. And some of the stuff I'm talking about is going to hurt me a lot more than the events already did. So yeah, before I continue this, I will just state for the record that 2022 and 2023 were the worst years that I've ever endured. To say that 2021 was the worst year I've ever been through is a fucking understatement. So let's get right into this shit. In January of 2022, I entered a short-lived relationship. That relationship I went through only lasted for 5.5 months. And I will get right into that later. But not much happened in January. But February is where 2022 went to shit for me. Because I'm pretty sure you guys remember me discussing my video talking about how Rosina had detrimentally impacted my life so much and psychologically tormented me so much to the point where I attempted to commit suicide multiple times. Because of her, I ended up losing a lot of good friends, quite a lot, in fact. Because one of Rosina's friends, basically Emily Moore, who I basically fucking, I managed to repair things with her this year, but I digress. Like last year, she made the stupid mistake of poking her nose into my business and decided to rat me out to Rosina for it. And then a whole lot of shit happened. Like she decided to get Jenna involved, even though like this was just a personal feud that I was going through between someone who was like, harassing me ad nauseum. And they decided to poke their nose into my business and use that against me just so they could, take action against me in the server that I was in with them. Which I viewed as unfair. Like, they should not have done that to me based on what I did on Twitter, because my conduct on Twitter and the shit I go through with other people on Twitter, like, it had no business being, like, they had no business sticking their nose into my business. Because the guy I was dealing with was someone who was harassing me all because they got banned from my server because they were breaking the rules, and they got butthurt about it. So what did they do? After I tried debating, fucking, because like what they did was unfair. It wasn't fair that they did that to me. That they took action against me in a server that I was in, based on my conduct on Twitter, because the shit I go through with other people does not fucking concern them. It's none of their fucking business. So what did they do? After I tried disputing this, what did they do? They had me banned. Emily had me banned, and then she decided to rat me out to Rosina for it. Like, even going so far as to patronize me, saying words like, you misbehaved and you got punished for it. Like, no, I fucking didn't. Because the shit that happened did not happen in that fucking server. It was a fight on Twitter between someone who was actively stalking and harassing me on social media, all because they got mad because they got banned from my server. And then what did Rosina do? Rosina decided to go ahead and slander me on all social media platforms, including YouTube and Twitter. And she decided to rally my friends against me. And it got to the point where I could barely process any of this shit. I could barely process any of that nonsense. And then the next day, what happens? I'm in the fucking Conda Casa, like the place formerly known as a Conda Casa, now is known as the fucking Rhapsody Club, and fucking. So they caught wind of this. And this was at the time, like, my friend Keegan, you already know who Keegan is, right? So yeah, he got involved in the situation, even though at the time it kind of sounded like a big mistake for him to do so. But yeah, I can understand what he was doing, and at this point, I actually thank him for trying to get involved. And you know what the truth is? The truth of the matter is, the only reason why I had like beef with, like, why I had an issue with Keegan for a short period of time in 2022 is because I was under Rosina's control. Like, even after I made it explicitly clear to them multiple times that I wanted nothing to do with their drama, both Rosina and Emily would bitch and whine at me for being friends with people they don't like, including fucking Alec Behan. I mean, I'm kind of indifferent to him nowadays. I mean, I barely talk to him anymore, but my point still stands. My point still stands. And when I vented about this in that server, in the fucking Conda Casa, like, Nostalgia Works briefly ended up siding with Rosina Head. So yeah, because of her, I lost a pretty good friend in Rosina Head. No, I lost a pretty good friend in Nostalgia Works. Because at the time, he made the stupid mistake of defending and supporting Rosina Head. And then to add insult to injury, to pour even more salt in the fucking wound, I had one of Rosina's ex-friends. Well, I'm not sure about that because they still talk to each other in real life. They still have that connection with each other in real life. Like, I had Sean, aka SKS 2020, actually no, SKS 2002. I had him telling me that I was quote unquote faking shit for a reaction, which is an extremely cruel thing to say to someone who has attempted to commit suicide multiple times by hanging and overdosing. Like, I have tried overdosing on multiple times on both my clinically prescribed Lexapro and my fucking Benadryl. Like, so basically I tried overdosing on both my antidepressants and my fucking sleeping pills. So how do you feel about that? Because I even posted about it on Twitter, about the fact that I actually go through some serious shit. I go through a whole lot of serious shit on a near daily basis. And for people to tell me that I'm faking this kind of shit for a reaction, how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you? Not helping was the fact that, you know, Alan, my friend Alan, the creator of IOX, who Shadow Pro Wrestling has a successful broadcast deal with, and at some point I was almost on the verge of withdrawing my broadcast deal with IOX for numerous reasons, which I will get into when we discuss the 2003 portion of this video. I mean, the 2023 portion of this video. He ended up siding with Rosina Head as well. So because of that, I got banned from the JetX server that he owned. For like, I don't even know if that server is still active anymore. I fucking doubt it, but my point still stands. And then we get to February 23rd. And then we get to February 22nd, in fact. February 22nd, 2022. 2/22/22. A date that comes only once a fucking century. The day that Shadow Pro Wrestling's House of Hatred event was broadcasted. Around that time, Ruthie Rainbow, my dear friend who I knew for 6 fucking years, ended up getting involved with Rosina's bullshit and ended up making the mistake of siding with her too, against me, despite the fact that we shared a close bond with each other for 6 fucking years. This hurt me personally, because that's gonna be a date that will never come back again. And even if it does come back again, I'm not gonna be alive to witness it. And on that day, when House of Hatred's event was being broadcasted, I put her in a match with Shadow Blazer for the Shadow Pro Wrestling Women's Silhouettes Championship. And Ruthie won that title. And even after I notified it, you know what she did? She cut ties with me without saying a fucking word. And that left me brokenhearted for over a fucking year. Like, you have no idea how much that hurt me personally. So what did I do? Instead, I could have vacated that championship. But you know what I did? I re-awarded that title back to Shadow Blazer. So yeah, February 2022 was not a good time for me. Like, it was, in fact, it was the genesis of my chronic depression. You thought that 2021 was the reason why I was feeling chronically depressed? Fuck no. Because this shit has detrimentally impacted me so much to the point where I could barely focus on school. Because in March of last year, shit got exponentially worse. Because the shit in the Kanakasa continues, and Emily knew what she was doing was wrong. She knew what she did was wrong. She felt really bad about it. She felt bad because she hurt someone who she considered to be her best friend. That was me. We were both best friends at the time. And we still are. But there are some things that you've done but there are just some things. If you're watching this, I really hope you're listening. Like, we are still best friends, but you have done and said some things to me that are just inexcusable and unforgivable and fucking abhorrent. Because it was not your place to get involved in a situation that did not fucking concern you. So I made my departure from the Kanakasa in early March 2022. Because I notified my girlfriend at the time. I notified her about Rosina's actions, and she knew it. And she knew it was fucking petty. And then Emily came into my DMs bitching about why I had to carry this on for so long. Why? Because I'm actually holding people accountable for their actions? Is that why? Like, why? Were you mad because I was actually holding people accountable for their actions? Which I will continue to do. Because you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna come out and say this. Retribution over rehabilitation is merited and justified. And I stand on that. I stand on that. And I don't fucking care what anyone has to say about it. So yeah, I cut off Emily after that point because she got upset that I got you know, my girlfriend at the time involved with cutting off Rosina, and rightfully so. I am so fucking pissed off right now. And then we get into mid-March. Mid-March, this is the part where shit's about to actually go down because Duncan personally messaged me last year. Because Duncan, who I will get into in another portion of this video, he is also a prime factor, a common denominator in the reason why I attempted to commit suicide multiple times. He is partially responsible for this. Actually, who am I kidding? He is majority responsible for this. Because I will get into what he said. I will actually get into what he said. Because he told me, and I quote, "Shadow, let me be 100% honest with you here. This shit between you and my girlfriend is getting really, really old. I know you're upset about the February 19th incident, but let me tell you something. The reason this situation keeps being escalated and talked about is because you keep escalating it and talking about it. What do you mean I'm the one escalating it? It's not. Who's the victim here? Me! I'm the fucking victim here. I was the one who got wrongfully screwed over. I was the one whose business got poked into wrongfully when it wasn't their fucking place to do so. It wasn't their fucking place to do so. And she said, had you not said anything about it after that day, Rosina wouldn't bother me anymore and I wouldn't be having non-stop spurgy fits. Here's the thing. Even after she cut me off, she wanted me banned from every single server I was in with her. Because she's the kind of fucking bitch who acts like the world revolves around her. Newsflash, it fucking does it! It fucking does it! Also, comparing someone you don't like to two corrupt and evil dictators and even calling her a succubus doesn't make you cool. It makes you look like a fucking bully. So me rightfully calling her out on her nonsense equates to me being a fucking bully. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know that holding her accountable for her actions equates to me being a fucking bully. Like, let me be very clear here, Duncan. You have no right to speak in this situation because you yourself got outed as a fucking child groomer this year. So you have no place to speak. You have no room to say anything here. You actually have no room to speak here. If you were really that close to her, you should have known what she likes and what she doesn't like. You were crossing the line in her rule book and played the victim card. How fucking dare you say I'm the one playing the victim card when, like I said, it was me whose business got poked into by both Rosina and Emily. Well, primarily Emily. You know, I'm not happy about this community for myriad reasons, but one thing that undoubtedly needs to be addressed without question is number one, how this keeps happening. Number two, why this community keeps making stupid mistakes that I myself would never make. My God. So Shadow, you need to get your shit together. Rosina isn't an evil tyrant who's out to censor people like 1984. Yes, she fucking is. Yes, she fucking is. And I have a shit ton of impact statements and eyewitness testimony that can attest to that. They can pretty much agree with my statement here. Like, if you actually watch the video I made on January the 4th this year, you would understand that. And no, she didn't ban me because I didn't listen to the rules. She banned me because Emily decided to rat me out to Rosina over a situation that didn't even fucking concern her. Because I was dealing with some fucking faggot who was crying like a little bitch about the fact that he got banned from my Discord server. Like, who do you think you are telling me to shut the fuck up about this? If anything, you should shut the fuck up about this. Because, like, it wasn't your fucking place to say anything. It really was not. It was not your fucking place to speak here. Because now you're over here saying I faked my hiatus, and you're saying that I was playing the victim card. Like, imagine saying that to an actual mental hospital patient, which I was, and I even talked about it. I talked about being in a psych ward for 9 fucking days to seek psychiatric treatment. But then I felt like my life was in danger because one of the patients there was an ex-gang member who I witnessed getting into fights with hospital staff and doctors and nurses, and police had to get involved. It got so bad that police had to get involved. I was literally fearing for my safety and fearing for my life, and I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. So you don't have the slightest fucking inkling about what I've been through. I just can't wait for this year to be over, because you know what? When all those people start crying angry tears about me being too mean, guess what? I'm not mean enough. Because in 2024, accountability will be held. People will be held accountable. And I will be a lot meaner. Because I no longer have the tolerance or the patience or for any of this fucking bullshit. I no longer have the tolerance or the patience for any of this nonsense. And then we get onto the day where my reputation pretty much died, and I like faded into the shadows of obscurity and irrelevancy. Because 2 incidents that day happened where I attempted to overdose on my pills multiple times. I'm surprised I'm still even alive and kicking right now. I'm genuinely surprised I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. My heart is still beating. Like, my brain is still functioning. I'm actually surprised that I'm still alive and kicking right now after all the shit I went through for over 18 fucking months. Both of these years have put me through so much hell that I can't even fucking fathom it. So you know what happened? You know what happened that day? On March 20th, 2022? You know what? I'm gonna mention names here, because I don't fucking care anymore. When I said people will be held accountable, people will be held accountable. So you know what happened on that day? I got pulled into a group DM with Fiend and one of his friends. And that friend was the same person who I talked about, who harassed me on social media for months on end after I banned him from my server. You know what he did? Like, you know what actually happened? Okay, fuck it. The Shadow Games 854. That was who it was. Fiend and that fucking faggot dragged me into that fucking group DM. And you know what happened? Shadow Games claimed to quote unquote apologize for everything that happened, but he wasn't apologetic at all. Instead, he chose to IP grab me, literally tried to dox me and put my family in danger over the fact that he got rightfully banned from my server. And for all these people telling me, let it go, it was in the past. No, I will not let it go. You don't put me and my fucking family in danger like that. You really think I'm gonna tolerate that? Absolutely fucking not. You don't put a man's family in danger like that. You don't fucking try to put him in harm's way over some fucking petty bullshit. All this because I want my personal boundaries to be respected. Like, people always have a problem with me wanting my personal boundaries to be respected. Like, what is it with these people? Like, can someone explain to me every time I just want to be respected, every time I want my personal boundaries to be respected, there's always people who are going to cry like a little bitch about it. Why can't y'all niggas just be normal? Like, why can't you just, like, my God. So I felt like I was in a serious emergency situation right there. I was actually in a serious emergency situation. And you know what? Revisiting my past is gonna haunt me. I'm not gonna pretend that it's not going to. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm not going to. But my point is, I went through a lot. Holy crap. Not helping was the fact that I got quote-unquote exposed for some shit that got taken out of context, and those were stupid things that I said when I was still a fucking minor. The only reason why I made the stupid mistake of cutting ties with Fiend at the time, prior to March 20th, 2022, is because of what Shadow Games did in my server. When he came back to my server bitching and whining about the fact that he got banned. Like, he literally tried raiding my server. That's exactly what he tried doing. I made him an admin at the time when I used to be friends with him, and you know what he did? He tried abusing his power by banning one of my friends without my consent. Over a comment that they made that got taken out of context. Like, I made it explicitly clear that trying to abuse their admin powers was against the rules of the server, and I banned him for that. I banned him for that. And then they got mad at me for it. The only reason why I made the stupid mistake of cutting off Ouija Dude and Random Fiend at the time was because I was paranoid. I was a minor and I was still paranoid about what I went through. So, yeah. And then apparently I'm being quote-unquote manipulative. Like, Fiend, I know you don't like me bringing up drama, but this needs, and I mean it, this needs to be addressed. Because you literally posted shit about me on Twitter where you're claiming to quote-unquote expose me for a certain kind of thing. You made a fucking thread about me on Twitter about these kind of things. And that thread is still up, by the way. That thread is still up to this day. You guys said that you would make a video about me, and like, so you know what you did? You guys blackmailed me a week later. You guys blackmailed me a week later. And then forced me to unblock Shadow Games. Why? So he can monitor my actions. Let me tell you something. What I do is not up for anyone to control. I made that explicitly clear multiple times. But no, he wants to monitor my actions just so that even if I make the smallest mistake, he's going to quote unquote expose me. You know what? I've already threatened to DMCA's copyright strike his ass multiple times if he actually did the deed. I actually threatened to copyright strike Shadow Games if he actually went through with it. But I'm not going to because I could get my channel terminated, and that's something I want to specifically avoid. So on that same day, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna read this. So Fiends wrote right before I initially banned him from my server at first. He said, and I quote, "If anything, I think you're hiding something from all of us. Like, let's get something started." I wasn't hiding anything from you guys. I was trying to keep myself safe. If anything, the only thing I was trying to hide was my personal information, which I don't want to get released to the public. And I was fearing that some people would end up trying to get that kind of information about me. Like my name, my address, my everything, all that. That's what I was trying to avoid. And let's get some started. Nobody's studying anything he said. You're just being manipulative. How am I being manipulative? If anything, he's the one that came into my server and caused all this shit. He was the one that came into my server and started bitching and whining about the fact that he got banned. So he thought the right thing to do was like kind of expose me because he had a fucking vendetta about it. But apparently I'm the one being manipulative to all my friends, to my fans, to everyone. So Fiend said, so you want to say he started shit, let's finish it. Okay, so they were talking about one of my former partners, like who I was in a relationship when I was younger, but I will not get into that for very obvious reasons. So they told me, so they pretty much talked about me behind my back at the time. For God knows why. And they claimed that I was quote unquote being like abusive. My intent was not to be abusive. I'm a person who has emotional and mental problems. And I'm pretty sure you knew that. You knew I was emotionally unstable. You knew what I went through all that time. You knew about that. Because we talked about it multiple times. What they told you, so what they told him about what they told them about me in DMs has struck you to the core. That I blamed them for every single thing when we were in a relationship. That is false. That is. I mean, I was like I said, I was a minor. I wasn't thinking straight. And no, I didn't blame them for having emotions. I was just saying that they were getting like emotionally clingy and that there were certain boundaries that they crossed at the time. And I wanted my boundaries to be respected. But no, I'm the asshole for wanting my boundaries to be respected. And I blame them for my dad. I did not blame them for their dad. If anything, their parents are the ones who are like completely fucking abusing it. They're the ones that were completely abusive and do not have the slightest inkling of what fucking boundaries or privacy is. And I talk shit about them behind my back, behind their back. No, all I did was vent about the shit that I went through with them when we were in a relationship initially. And that's not, and for the record, that's not why their parents hate me. That's not because I quote unquote talk shit. It's not because of that. They falsely accuse me of doing something that I would never do. And I'm not gonna get too much into it. But they made false accusations toward me. This is what I get for being a black person, being in a relationship with a white person. Fucking hell. And finally, and also, well, not finally, but there's more about to go to this. The way I treated his friend, the way I treated Fiend's friends, which I actually regret doing because, like I said, I was still a minor. I made a whole lot of stupid mistakes. Like, I felt bad for what I did to Ouija, and I still do. I still feel bad for what I did to Ouija dude. Because at the time, I wasn't thinking straight. Like, I was paranoid. I was fucking paranoid. Because I was a minor, and I had to deal with a whole lot of relentless harassment years prior. And supposedly, the reason why Shadow Games got mad at me is because I agree with the sexist comment. It was a comment that was taken out of context. And I knew the context behind it. Well, simply put, he was trying to say that he hated women who were emotionally like manipulative or abusive or lie to them or cheat on them, though, because he's been through that kind of stuff in relationships before. He's been through those kind of relationships before, and that's why he wasn't trying to say anything that was sexist. He wasn't. I knew the context. I knew other people would understand the context, but I knew him personally, and I knew the context behind it. And you're saying that this all happened because you guys kicked me out, and you kicked me out of a certain group that you guys founded, known as the Fuck Boys. I miss those times. I honestly do, because it was short-lived. And all this because you claim that I said I made quote unquote sex jokes to a rape victim. No, I did not make sex jokes to a rape victim. And all I did was just say the word sex, and it was taken out of context. I just said one word, and it was taken out of context. And they were not geared toward him. Because why, in any capacity, in any moral or ethical capacity, why would I ever make a sex joke toward a rape victim? That's low even for me. That's low even for me, because I would never do that to a rape victim. Trust me, you're talking to a guy who was a victim of sexual harassment and grooming. So the fact that I'm being accused of all of this fucking nonsense is absolutely fucking appalling. And he finishes off by saying that I'm toxic. And that I'm toxic. Alright, right, because I'm toxic for wanting my boundaries to be respected. And that I'm apparently, quote unquote, brainwashing my friends and other people. Because supposedly I can't handle the truth. Though that was not the truth. Those were accusations against me that were later proven false. And when I vented about it a while ago on Twitter, Fiend reposted my tweet saying that he was going to make 2022 the worst year of my life. Newsflash, my friend, you did. You accomplished your goal. You accomplished your goal of making 2022 the worst year of my life. Because that was the year where I tried to attempt to commit suicide over 26 times in just 1 year. How and why am I still alive? I'm done. I'm absolutely fucking done with this community. I really am. And a while ago, Fiend told me himself that he apologized for everything that happened, but he didn't apologize for everything that happened. I mean, he apologized for the whole IP grabbing incident, but he didn't apologize to me for what he said that day, because he told me himself that he refused to apologize for what he said. He never said anything face to face to me about that. And all of this because I was falsely accused of trying to, quote unquote, get an adult to solicit lewd acts on a minor, which is fucking false. I was 16 going on 17 at the time this was happening. I guess it's safe to say that my 17th birthday, which was April 24th, 2022, was not a good one at all. Because that was at the time that I was still being exiled and people were still shit-talking me behind my back. People were still talking shit about me behind my back that day. I really don't know what to say right now. I just don't. I'm like fucking... And all of this happened because there were false accusations being made against me by, you know what, fuck it, I'm mentioning names, I don't care. Alyssa Rossignol, you did this. You fucking did this. You and your fucking cultist faggot white knights, or dare I say, alt accounts, you came after me because you're clearly too, like, mentally unstable to use the internet. And then you start going after me, stalking me at every single possible avenue. And if you're watching this and you say you're gonna copyright strike me if I mention your name again, well, I have 5 words for you. Do it or no balls. And you know what? When those false accusations were presented against me, and I contested against them, Fiend ended up believing and was manipulated into believing those false accusations, and then relayed them to Reader, who I held accountable for this. So yeah, Reader ended up making the stupid mistake of believing those false accusations against me, and you know what he did? He ended up blocking me from his channel, and I had to fight for over a fucking month with the help of my great friend Paz Kazami. He actually who actually has closer connections to Reader than I do. Like, it should not have taken this long. It should not have taken this long. It should not have taken over a fucking month. It should not have taken over a fucking month for Reader to have actually listened to what I had to say. Actually, It took a month and a half, almost 2 months. So, like... So Reader actually ended up believing false accusations against me, supposedly trying to get, quote-unquote, get Lioness in trouble for NSFW content. And for context, if you don't know who the Shadow Lioness is, or dare I go by her government name, Isabel Hyde, yeah, I know you're watching this video. Fuck you. Fuck you. So yeah, I'm holding her accountable for this too. So like, yeah. So when Reader had me unblocked from his channel, I had to fight to get my position as like I had to fight to get everything back. I had to fight to get him to resubscribe to my channel, and I had to fight to get him to make me to give me back my position as a mod on his channel, which thankfully I got. Thankfully I did. So I'm gonna explain what actually happened. So, regarding the allegation that I supposedly tried to quote-unquote get her in trouble by asking her for NSFW content, that never happened. Not once did I ever make such a grotesque request, nor would I ever want to get her in trouble for such a thing. I mean, I wholeheartedly despise her, but yeah, I would not stoop that low. I would not stoop that low. Even as a minor, I would not want to stoop that low. I've even been compared to that one fucking Aussie degenerate. You already know who you are, Killer Creed, or dare I say, Jacob Studman. You know exactly who you are. Like honestly, you had some valid points. You made some valid points. You made some valid points about people like Lioness and Space Voyager, but let me be very clear here. You still aren't any better because you have done a whole lot of obscene and horrendous and abhorrent shit. Like sexually harassing a 16-year-old at the age of 21. So yeah, you're still a fucking degenerate, and your words hold no merit. Piss off. Now I'm gonna continue reading what I said. That comparison offends me beyond all comprehension. And I will admit, during my tenure in the community, at the time when I was still a minor, I was going through a time in which I had feelings for Lioness, which, ew, it's the dumbest mistake I ever made. However, my jealousy at the time got in the way of everything. I was like young and naive at the time, and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So to reiterate, I have not once asked for NSFW content from anyone in the community as a minor. So the statement about me, quote-unquote, acting very predatory towards people is false. And I've also been accused of, quote-unquote, scamming my ex out for extra cash, which never fucking happened. Because at the time, I did not have a bank account. I did not get a bank account until this year. What really happened is that my partner and their family sent a package to my house, which never showed up after I waited days and days and days for it to arrive. I also have to question the validity of that so-called evidence, given the fact that statements provided with those screenshots are grotesque exaggerations and defamatory accusations presented for the sake of trying to have me forced off the internet. And also, that evidence was all compiled by Hoax, another alt account from Alyssa, who herself is in her 20s, who literally emailed me in 2021 telling me to commit suicide. Think about that. You're okay with an adult telling a minor to commit suicide. Let that sink in. How the hell does that a person like that get redeemed for anything? Especially since she's been constantly milking old drama from a year ago and continuously harassing me when I made it explicitly clear to them that I wanted nothing to do with them anymore. It made me feel like a social outcast and that I was being unjustifiably exiled from the community after a year of faithful service. And honestly, I'm actually appalled. I'm actually appalled that instead of using healthy skepticism to cross-examine the evidence, Reader actually resorted to having me blocked based on word of mouth and eyewitness testimony, despite the fact that only part of the story is true. Part of the story is true, without even giving me a chance to explain my side. It was a whole one-sided thing. It really is not fair that they had redeemed someone who has a history of cyberbullying, being a lol cow, making multiple alternate accounts after, I'm not sure Reader was even aware.
But like, honestly, if he was, then that's even more condemning. I find that beyond appalling, and I'm just hurt beyond all recognition because of all this. Like, Reader was someone I looked up to and respected as a very observant and intelligent individual who cares and understands. I had nothing against Reader at all, and I'm not sure what to say about that. But like, after processing, like, honestly, after processing everything that I went through, I don't know what else to say. That I'm very disappointed in him based on how he handled the situation. I'm very disappointed in you based on how you handled that situation, Reader. You're better than this. You're better than this. And based on the impact of that situation, of course I required compensation. Why would I not require compensation? Like, Reader initially made fan art for me back in February of that year, but then he deleted it after he got wind of those accusations. So yeah, that definitely felt like I was being betrayed. And you know, he didn't re-upload the initial piece. But he made one for me as a late Christmas gift, which I accepted, thankfully for that. So what happened here? So we're gonna get into a whole lot of other shit. Reader's community was a community that I was actually proud to be a part of for over 3 years now. And like, even now, I'm just seeing that this is a community that I felt like is absolutely morally bankrupt. Cause you know what happened in August on Lioness's birthday, on her fucking 24th birthday. I sent her a message. I sent her a message that I wanted to make sure that she would wake up and read. Because that message was purposefully designed to hurt her feelings in worse ways than you could possibly imagine. And that's the point, because she has a history of doing chronically stupid things. And the fact that she was redeemed, but I'm like, you know what? This isn't sour grapes. But the fact that she was redeemed for doing inexcusable and abhorrent actions, while I, as a victim of her bullshit, was not redeemed for anything. The fact that she was getting all this praise and I'm not makes me sick. I swear to God, I genuinely swear to God. Like, this actually made me really fucking angry. Like, I don't think you have the slightest clue of how fucking angry this legitimately made me. It made me so angry that I got to the point where I had to say shit, where I had to open up about a whole lot of things to Lioness, and I was really fucking angry when I said this. And I said, and I quote, and this was perfectly designed to ruin her birthday, by the way. I said, and I quote, "Lioness, let me be honest with you. The reality we're forcing you to face has nothing to do with so-called, quote-unquote, manipulation. It's a moral thing. You have no morals, as you're just being a woman child and a creep trying so hard to hide her disgusting and immature actions, especially the obvious and disgusting pregnancy and diarrhea fetish on shit on DeviantArt and beyond." I should also mention the fact that she literally has a Discord server where she like, you know, like has an NSFW channel in a server that has minors in it, and also she and her friends have been making NSFW jokes in a server that has minors in it, so let that sink in. Not to mention they also ERP'd with a lot of minors, myself included. So yeah, this is just fucking really fucking condemning. Like, I was 17 and 16 and 15 around the time this was happening, because this shit was going on for a time around, like, from 2021 to 2022. I was, like, in early 2021, I was 15. In mid 2021, I was 16. In 2022, I turned 17. This year, I turned 18. Like, and also using excuses as a mask that we can easily peel off so that we can show the world everything about her mind-numbing toxicity and retardation. And then she ended up deleting messages, banning people, especially her true friends, might I add, especially the people who went to bat for her so many times during drama, including myself. I went to bat for her so many times, and then she just, like, turns her back on everyone because apparently she has no problem affiliating herself with trolls and literal fucking pedophiles. And then she tries, like, banning people and blocking them to hide her actions, but it's no use trying. We've had several, and I mean several conversations. We've had several conversations about her where we're exposing her for her immaturity because she can't hide forever or play coy. Her constant toxic and immature behavior is the reason why she's losing a crap ton of friends, but she doesn't even realize it. And when she says that she wants to quote-unquote change for the better, we all know that's a lie, as we have screenshots of her bitching and whining and raging in all caps when nothing ever goes her way. And clearly she knows nothing about how life works, and she's just using quote-unquote manipulation as an excuse to avoid reality and hide from the truth, and act like she's somehow immune to criticism. Newsflash, you are not immune to criticism. No one is. Not even me. We have a shit ton of evidence against her, and on all those hate comments that we posted on her content. Like, honestly, all of those hate comments that were directed toward her are justified, because unlike her, we have fucking morals. And you know what? I'm gonna say this right now. Like, here's what I'm gonna hit her a little below the belt. The people who quote-unquote slandered her, as she so falsely claims it, were right about her the whole time, and I just realized it. I was always afraid to criticize her and speak up for myself, but now I'm doing it. And now I have no remorse for calling her out on her bullshit. I will no longer be all blind to all the constant harm she does. She is immature, rude, inconsiderate, and selfish. And I've especially had enough of her constantly fucking over her true friends. Lioness, you truly are an ungrateful piece of shit. And I hope you're listening to this because you're gonna listen to me now. For starters, you obviously believe lies and slander about me over shit that happened a fucking year prior. You're also a hypocrite because when you make NSFW jokes, it's okay, but when I do it, I become a social pariah? Not to mention, you also removed me as a mod from your channel too, and you started giving me these two-faced excuses. One minute, you tell me it's just a glitch, and the next minute you tell me the same old, I only give mod role to people I trust bullshit. I find it absolutely hilarious how when a troll came in, you gave him mod role instead of a person who has done so much for you for years as a true friend. It wasn't just a glitch, you just refused to do so despite it being such a simple task. Stuck in your ways out of cowardice, pussification, and entitlement. You literally admitted to picking sides and lied about being neutral. Immediately when I noticed it, my eyes were open and I finally realized how much of a cunt you are. It's obvious that you'd rather affiliate with trolls and pedophiles rather than stick with your true friends. Thanks for showing your true colors. Thank you so much for showing your true colors. I never want to hear any of these people I never want to hear anyone claim that they care about minors ever again until they get their lives corrected. This is asinine. This is inexcusable. Like, try keeping your quote-unquote friends when you still have this attitude. And let me tell you this right now. No one wants to participate in immature quote-unquote diarrhea jokes or sexual role plays out of their own free will, but rather they do it because they're forced to. And you act like you're somehow above everyone else when you're not. You are nothing more than the jizz stain of this community that made it so pussified, politically correct, and easily offended. You've contributed jack shit to this community, Lioness, and even if it were to be under your quote-unquote leadership, this community would have collapsed in a heartbeat. Oh wait, that statement aged like fine wine because this year, this community sunk like the fucking Titanic. You need to leave the internet and never come back until you learn how to act like a mature, responsible adult. Like, you're fucking 25, and I'm 18. Like, you not see how fucking stupid this is? And also, like I said, those things about me trying to get NSFW from an adult when I was a minor is false. Because I would never try to get an adult in trouble for shit like that. And because I think that's just fucking jailbaiting. That's fucking jailbaiting. And I am not about that life. I think that's fucking abhorrent. I think that's absolutely fucking inexcusable. I mean, I was a minor. Of course, it's normal for minors to have a crush on adults, but it's not. But it's not normal for adults to reciprocate that feeling. Because I've dealt with a shit ton of my friends getting outed as pedophiles, groomers, and all sorts of that kind of shit. Like, trust me. Like, have you ever heard of kids crushing on adults? Like, I've seen that happen so many times. I was one of them. That happened to me so many times. I mean, like, who's not gonna have a crush on older women? But like I said, it's fucking wrong and inexcusable for older people to reciprocate that kind of feeling for minors. Holy crap. And let me tell you this. Do you have any idea what it was like being friends with you, Lioness? You just constantly run your mouth about petty drama every single minute of the day. You never shut up about it. You even ran your mouth to the Shadow Reader. Do you know how many times I wanted to smack you right upside your fucking head? How many times I wanted to knock you out myself? Well, I didn't do it. Because at the time, I felt bad for you. Because there are multiple people in this community who hate your fucking guts. I felt bad for you at the time. And I put up with your nonsense for 2 fucking years. Every day, I had to put up with it. You know how fucking taxing it was on my time and my patience to deal with that kind of shit. And there was a point where I finally snapped. And you know what? I'm gonna admit, it felt damn good to talk shit about you behind your back, Lioness. And I would have snapped your scrawny little neck like a twig if I wanted to. But I didn't. Because I wanted to watch you suffer. For all the years of crap I had to put up with you bitching and whining about petty drama nonstop and getting me involved in it, when I made it explicitly clear multiple times that I didn't want to get involved in it, I wanted to watch you suffer because you kept bitching and whining about that shit nonstop. And when things got a little bit hot and fingers were pointed in my direction, I cooled them down. Because I wanted to see just how smart you were. I wanted to see if you were smart enough to realize what was going on around you. Or if you are just as dumb as you look. And I realized that you are even dumber. You were nothing more than dead weight that was holding me back from reaching my potential in life and the community. You were just dead weight that was holding me down when I should have been rising to the top of the community. People like you are the reason why I've never been respected. Why I've never been given the respect that I am rightfully entitled to. I'm the star here. I'm the future. I'm the one that calls the shots. I'm the diamond in the rough. But your mouth just kept on writing checks that your ass can't cash. Because Rebel fucking Shadow has always been behind you. Or never again. Never again, because our friendship is officially over. It's been over for a whole fucking year, and even now on this video, I'm making it official. And even after I called you out, you know what you did? you threatened to IP grab both me and Billy, who in fact is a minor. So yeah, it's funny how you guys claim to hate pedophiles. Meanwhile, you're in fucking Discord servers doing erotic role plays with minors. And meanwhile, you're making threats towards minors. So yeah, you don't care about minors. Don't ever fucking say that shit again. Because at this point, it's a rule of thumb. Because whenever anyone says that they quote unquote care about minors like they falsely claim to, it's obviously going to be a bold-faced fucking lie. Because these people don't care about minors. They only care about themselves. Like, and then she later said that she never, and then she later said that she never claimed to get IP addresses from both of them. Like, and that you're gonna go to the cops about this. Oh, so you're really gonna call the police? You're gonna call your fucking Mounties? Cause I know you're over there living in Canada, aka Kanakistan. You little fucking Kanakistani hockey nigger. Oh my god. You're really gonna call the police on two minors over petty internet drama? The dispatcher would hang up on your ass instantly. Like, you literally said that you would like fucking IP grab minors, and then you're contradicting yourself here by your own admission. Like, and Reader kind of downplayed that, saying that saying I don't think that she was being serious about the whole IP thing, to be honest. Not to mention it's very difficult to do. She was likely saying that as a joke. I honestly doubt that that's a joke, because she knew she had clear intentions. She had clear intentions of trying to bring down anyone who would criticize her in any capacity. That's how fucking butthurt she was. That's actually how much of a fucking thin-skinned pussy she was. And I, for some stupid reason, gave Reader the benefit of doubt. He should have taken action a long time ago after that. Not to mention the fact that Lioness was literally friends with a fucking Raven Queen, who herself is a notorious child predator and animal abuser and groomer. Like, honestly. Like, that's why. Like, Lioness has an axe to grind against me specifically because I called her out on her nonsense. I held her accountable for that kind of shit. And the truth of the matter is, Lioness is the kind of person who will idealistically shack up with anyone who will give her the right type of attention. Which is why she's associating herself with people like fucking Raven Queen, who is notorious for abusing animals and grooming children. It's amazing how every single person that she's friends with is some sort of fucking degenerate who puts kids in danger. Isn't that fascinating? Jesus Christ. Like, look, Finn's a great friend of mine, but what really made me mad about this was the fact that someone who I knew for 3 years, ended up making the stupid mistake of believing false accusations against me. And of course his friend at the time, Shadow Games 854, ended up harassing me nonstop and IP grabbing me, raiding my server, and choosing to air out his dirty laundry with me on Twitter, just for the sole purpose of looking for a fight, and started raging in all caps, all because he got banned from my Discord server in November 2021. Because even after I told Reader about Alyssa and her alt accounts, at no point did he make any effort to take action against these people, which I held Reader accountable for, because he still had people like Lioness and of course these fucking Alyssa alt accounts in his circle. And I'm gonna say this right now, like, if someone in your circle is notorious for doing these kind of things, in your circle, Reader, where these people were, you do have an obligation to yourself, if no one else, to take action, which you neglected to do for over a fucking year. which is why I personally held you accountable for it. And the fact that I know Fiend was talking about this in the IOX server recently about how he hates the fact that people are jealous of him and his success. I mean, why would I not be? I mean, it's not fair that a person like me, who has been on the receiving end of non-stop harassment, ended up having more fortunate things happen to him. You know what? I was gonna keep my mouth shut about this, but I'm not going to anymore. I'm not gonna stay silent about this any longer. It really is not fair that someone like me, who has been on the receiving end of harassment from them, hardly gets any praise or appreciation in this community, but Fiend does, after all the stuff that I've been through with him. And the crazy thing is, that's the main reason why I'm jealous of that he ended up getting a position as co-owner of IOX, aka the platform that we reached a successful broadcast deal with this year. And I'll get more into my experiences with IOX in the 2023 portion of this video. We're still stuck in the 2022 portion, so bear with me here. Because he was actually able to get into close personal contact with people like Reader. Meanwhile, I was never able to. Victims like me were screwed out of a lot of things. Why? Because I'm not worthy or deserving enough? Because apparently I'm too fucking immature or emotionally unstable to be trusted with things that I rightfully deserve? This community is morally and ethically bankrupt, and I stand on that. There is literally nothing that will change my mind about this. Because it should not have taken Reader a whole fucking year to take action against people who are actually doing horrible deeds in his community. And then aside from the Readers community, aside from that, I don't know what else to say here. Well, let's talk. Well, we already addressed that part, so you know what? Let's go back to the whole Rosina thing. During my exile, which lasted for 6 fucking months, I had people talking shit about me behind my back, planning on making a whole fucking troll operation on me. I actually had shit like that happen. Cause I had people completely invalidating my trauma, because I myself have gone through that kind of shit. So apparently, the community I've been a part of is actually fucking hypocritical, because apparently it's okay for them to make fucking edgy jokes, which was essentially my brand of humor too. But apparently it's not okay for me to do the same. Apparently it's not okay for me to go as far as to say things which I kind of regret now. So last year I made the stupid mistake of threatening Rosina with a knife, which I'll admit I should not have done. But my point still stands. I wholeheartedly despise that person, because she put me through a lot, and I was emotionally unstable. And the fact that my friend Ruthie Rainbow ended up cutting ties with me under Rosina's direction, that is what drove me to this. I've been emotionally unstable for over a month, and that's what led me to feel like this. And you know what? I'm gonna say this right now. I know the reason why people don't like me bringing up drama is because they don't like to be held accountable for it. That's my point. I feel like I'm living in a community where there's no such thing as morality. Like, this entire community gives me the whole feeling of morality. What's that? What is morality? What is ethics? My God. Okay, so yeah, I had people trying to come into my server with the intent of trying to raid it, cause like the March 20th 2020 incident was the reason why I shut down my original server and decided to rebuild it a week later. And like I said, that incident has scarred me so much, cause like it impacted my academic standing. Cause like I said, I went from being an honor roll student to being a fucking train wreck. Cause like I could barely focus in school after the shit that happened to me. And during the months of April and a little bit of March and some parts of May, like I couldn't go to school for over a month and a half because I was mentally struggling. I was literally placed on suicide watch during that time period because I attempted to take my own life multiple times after that situation happened. It's fucking traumatizing. It really is. And the fact that people are literally going out of their way to downplay it, it genuinely makes me angry. It really fucking makes me angry. This is why I'm not a forgiving person. I'm not a forgiving person because people put me through shit like this. Like, that genuinely infuriates me to no end. I'm not gonna pretend that it doesn't infuriate me, because it really fucking does. I'm literally trying so hard not to tear up right now as I talk to you about this. And yeah, it's gonna bother me. I'm not gonna be the one to say that it's not going to bother me. I feel like I've pretty much lost my train of thought. So yeah. During that time last year, I was focusing on the one community that was keeping me sane, and that was the television news broadcasting community. That was the only community that was keeping me from throwing myself off of my 3rd floor apartment balcony. At least they were able to do a lot for me, and I was mostly focused on doing my own fucking thing, rather than, you know, getting involved in that kind of shit. And I was in a position where I felt like I was fucking hopeless. Like, I didn't have anything to fall back on. I felt like there would be no hope for me, and that people wouldn't listen to me because people decided to listen to a false accusation about me, and people made a video designed to mock me because they claimed that I did all this all because I got banned from the servers. And let me tell you something. Like, all because I got banned from Emily's and Rosina's servers. But let me tell you something. I made it explicitly clear multiple times that me getting banned had nothing to do with what I did, with why I did what I did. It had everything to do with the fact that they got a friend of mine to turn their back on me after I've been friends with them for over 6 years. And then, Duncan did a whole fucking hashtag pick a side campaign against me, which everyone jumped on his bandwagon against me and started shit-talking me and making asinine statements and invalidating my trauma. And when I mentioned that I was a victim of sexual harassment and grooming, their response was, okay, and like, they tried to use the fact that I simped for women as a response. Meanwhile, while not being while being dumb enough to not realize that they were being hypocritical because they simp for women too. So why is it a sin for me to do it when other people are doing it? Like, explain to me, why is that such a sin? Because like why is it such a sin for me to want to be given respect that I am rightfully entitled to? Not to mention, to add insult to injury, thanks to fucking Midori. I hope you're listening to this, Midori. I really hope you are. Thanks to that fucking asshole, I was made as a brief mention and a brief footnote on Keegan Salisbury's Encyclopedia Dramatica page. Like, you knew that people could use Encyclopedia Dramatica as a source of like targeted harassment, and people would use that against me. And you knew what you guys were doing was wrong, and you still did it. You still did it. Cause like at no point did you like take a moment to reflect on how this would affect me in any capacity. Cause you guys didn't think that people would actually come to me and start continuing to harass me ad nauseum. Cause that's exactly what people did. People harassed and bullied me so much to the point where I felt like I did not want to live on this planet anymore. My content barely got any views. Like, my god, people literally no one would fucking listen to me anymore because I was classified as a fucking lol cow. Wrongfully, that is. And for this specific reason, I consider the word lol cow to be a derogatory slur. There, I said it. I consider that word to be a slur because it's directed towards people who wrongfully who were wrongfully, exposed for these kind of things. Like, these people, like, that word is used towards people for all the wrong reasons. And I made a whole fucking statement on that. I made a whole fucking statement this year. So, like, the word lolcow actually should be a slur because, like, it actually is used in a derogatory manner because a lolcow is a person who you can get extensive laughs from who doesn't know that they are being made fun of. They can often think that they are being admired for what they're doing, but they are secretly being laughed at constantly. The term is often used in a derogatory manner to describe highly exploitable people online, such as those who post a consistent flow of cringeworthy content, for example. The term in and of itself implies and suggests that a lolcow is a person who can be supposedly milked for laughs. And people who are deemed as lolcows are frequently the subject of trolling in order to get embarrassing info from them or get them to do embarrassing and stupid things for laughs. And that's what people tried doing to me last year. And this year, because of that, I made a statement saying, and I quote, whereas the word lolcow has been defined as a person who you get extensive laughs from who doesn't know that they're being made of, who are being made fun of, and can often think that they're being admired for what they're doing, but are secretly being laughed at constantly. And whereas the word lolcow has been established to be derogatory, degrading, dehumanizing, and offensive, and whereas the word lolcow is too often freely and casually used by random individuals on the internet, including media, satirical literature, and general society, with usage becoming more and more prominent and prevalent, and whereas the stigma of this word embodies and invokes painful memories and inhumane ill will, and countless individuals, including members of this community, have either contemplated committing suicide or have actually done the deed due to the beliefs perpetuated by the use of this word. Therefore, it should be resolved that this community should not condone, award, or engage any person that uses the word lolcow in any capacity, or in any artistic endeavor that does not allude to the context or impact of the word, or that does not highlight the derogatory nature of the word. And it should finally be resolved that we as a community should implement the following actions to reinforce its ban on the word lolcow and bolster education and awareness about the offensiveness of the word across the community. Make the ban reinforcement a top priority for all people in the community, and urge every server in this community, in consultation with their corresponding partner servers, to develop a plan of action for implementation. The plan must include public awareness and a reporting process. That's what I think we should do. Like, I really don't know why people actually partook in participating in these activities designed to attack me when I was a minor. Thankfully, my reputation got fixed because of that. Like, thankfully, like, things got resolved on December 23rd, 2022, when Rosina was actually ousted from the community. And rightfully so, because she herself got outed as a pedophile and a groomer who, like, think about this. She's in her 20s, and she's over here sexualizing a 14-year-old. And this character may not be, and this 14-year-old may not be a real person, but it's still a character regardless. And even thinking about it, that's still just fucking wrong and just downright illegal and immoral. The 14-year-old in question I'm talking about is the character Sora from Kingdom Hearts. And that is fucking, oh my god, bro, oh my god. Not to mention that, she also allowed a pedophile in her server that had minors in it at one point, and flagrantly refused to take action in that situation because that person could have put those minors in danger and in jeopardy. That's how bad it was. And you know what Rosina tried doing? She tried using the rules of the server to her advantage and flagrantly refused to take action because apparently they were just causing, quote unquote, causing drama in her case. I find it absolutely hilarious how she didn't at any point reflect on how that would look in her future. I find that absolutely fucking condemning. And then, like, yeah, a whole lot of shit happened last year in 2022. Especially on June 21st, 2022, when one of my partners actually broke up with me over a misunderstanding, claiming that I, quote unquote, bashed her opinions when I didn't. All I did was state an opinion that was completely different from hers, and all of this because of, like, you know, all of this because of fucking Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She liked it, I didn't. I told her that I had problems with it. I did not at any point say that I refused to respect her opinions. She's clearly been spreading lies about me because she had been groomed to be a shitty person, just like fucking Rosina Head was. Thankfully, I memorized that person's address. Thankfully, I memorized my ex's address because I'm going to ruin her life in worse ways than she's ever experienced before. I mean it this time. And honestly, no. Welcome to the real world. Because in the real world, people can and do have the right to say mean things and criticize something as dumb as a cartoon. Because here's the absolute truth of the matter, cat. Yeah, I know you're listening to this, or dare I say, Destiny. If you're listening to this, let me give you the truth of the matter. I hate Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because it creates people like you. And I don't mean your race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, nationality, ethnicity, or creed, or disability, or anything. No. I'm talking about the fact that you prioritize your feelings and your fragile egos over your morals. That's what Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles creates. I can't wait till January comes because at this point I feel like I need to take a really long vacation. Jesus fucking Christ. There are some moments that just makes me feel really, really fucking mad, and like, yeah. I don't know what else there is to say about this, because like I've been vilified and hated for quite a long time now, and wrongfully so. I've been vilified and hated for all the wrong reasons, especially after people are believing like false accusations and lies and slanders about me. This is fucking inexcusable. I cannot in any capacity condone this or tolerate this. I just cannot. Because I already have fucking degenerates trying to go after me on social media, trying to spin conspiracy theories and false accusations about me, which I will debunk because they are dumb. But at the same time, when I do something, I actually think about how my actions would have an impact on other people. Something that most people constantly refuse to do. And I'm pretty sure I would talk about the experiences I went through with fucking July and August and so on and so forth. The experiences I went through with Merit, which I covered in an older video back in April. I covered that in an old video in April. I would talk about that, but like I think I've already said enough. Not helping was the fact that I had people like fucking, you know, models, aka Cameron Murphy. Yeah, I know you're watching this. I hope you're watching this, you fucking faggot. I hope you're watching this because you put me through a lot too. Blazer was trying to warn me about you, and honestly, you are a selfish fucking narcissist who only cares about yourself. Cause like, so when I was like venting and feeling shit about the fact that my girlfriend broke up with me, like, so you apparently decided to start milking that situation just as an excuse to make yourself look morally superior. Why? Cause like, why? So you're saying I'm supposedly a crybaby for rightfully feeling bad about that. And you know what I did? You know what I did on the July 20? You know what I did on the July 23rd, 2022 edition of Shadow Pro Wrestling? I called your ass out. I called your ass out live on that broadcast because I was getting really sick and fucking tired of you. I was getting sick and tired of you, like, having your head shoved so far up your ass and acting like the world revolved around you that you go to the point where, like, I made you feel bothered because I was feeling emotionally unstable. Boo-hoo! So what if I'm feeling emotionally unstable? Boo fucking who? Cry about it! Cry about it! I don't give a fuck! You think I give a shit about your feelings? I don't! If anything, people should be giving a shit about my feelings. Because of the shit that I went through. Blazer has every right to be angry at you. And so does fucking DJ 3 Electrical. Who Blazer used to be pretty good friends with, actually. And is also a close friend of my other dear friend, Daphne Cortez. Major shout out to you, by the way, Daphne, if you're watching this video. Yeah. Not helping was the fact that I also had beef with DJ 3 Electrical, who also made the stupid mistake of siding with Rosina Head and decided to mock me for shit I said when I made an empty threat toward her in the previous year, which really wasn't fucking necessary. And this is the biggest problem I have with people in Blue Frog's community, because I have dealt with people in his community. I have no hate towards fucking Blue Frog. I have no hatred toward him. I actually enjoy his content. But this is what I hate about the UK archiving community, because I have people in that community who have mocked me for shit I said in the past. Especially since, like, I had people trying to dox me. Like, one of them literally asked for my real name and address, and surprisingly, one of them ended up getting the former. I don't know how the fuck that happened. And all of this because they decided to harass and bully me for beef that happened, like, years ago. So you know what, Warrior Glitchy and fucking Mint, if you're watching this, like, go fuck yourselves. Literally, go fuck yourselves. Like, because as for you making comments about wishing that my family would die from cancer, congratulations, you got what you fucking wanted. You got what you fucking wanted, dude. Because this year, I'm gonna get really in depth with shit that happened to me this year. Like, I am not gonna pull any punches when it comes to talking shit. Oh my god. Holy crap! I am genuinely infuriated. I am not. I do not have the patience for this kind of shit. I'm fucking furious. I am infuriated. I feel like I want to punch something or someone right now. Like, you have no idea how fucking pissed off I am. My train of thought derailed for a sec, honestly. But yeah. I had beef with, like, I had beef with people like DJ3 Electrical for a short period of time, but we resolved that back in August this year. Because he knew that his comments were uncalled for. If I had the chance to rebuild my friendship with DJ3 Electrical, I probably would. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he actively made the choice to participate in harassment toward me, which, granted, I forgave him for. Jesus fucking Christ. So yes, I have my reasons as to why I am justifiably holding people accountable for their actions, since they have done me wrong in multiple ways. And that's why I decided to call them out publicly. Like, I know I'm gonna sound like a fucking man-child for doing this, but I don't care. I need to let out 2 years worth of anger and frustration that has been pent up for this long, because I cannot keep holding on to this in 2024. Because if I do, it's gonna come back to haunt me. It's gonna hurt me and eat at me at every single possible turn. I cannot fucking excuse any of this shit. I think I pretty much got into detail about some of the 2022 stuff. I got into detail about the 2022 stuff. But let's get right into detail about the 2023 stuff. I feel like I'm missing quite a few bits and pieces from 2022, but I will address those as time goes on, as I start going on my usual tyrant. 2023 started off pretty good. I thought it was going to be a good year. I actually thought it was going to be a good year, but clearly it wasn't going to. Because starting since February 2023, I started facing a shit ton of harassment, all because I rightfully called out Rosina Head. And this person, and the person who's been going after me has been like apparently making a shit ton of alt accounts designed to fucking, like, they falsely accused me of sexually abusing someone, which, granted, I will tell you this, I've never sexually abused anyone in my life because I've never been in a sexually intimate relationship before. So this the only reason they're doing this is just so they can try to morally grandstand and act like they're morally superior when newsflash they're not, because this person is literally disgusting, is notorious for slandering people, and he's also a transphobe because he decided to refer to one of my friends like as a portmanteau of their current name and their dead name. So yeah, pretty much they're pretty much a fucking transphobe, and it makes sense because like they literally defend actual Nazis, and they're siding with other transphobes too. So they project their hatred of LGBTQ people simply by using false accusations, simply by using slander and false accusations against them as an excuse to compensate for the fact that they have like tiny dicks. They're just micro penis retards who clearly have nothing productive and to do in their life, and they clearly have no adversity in their life. It's funny how they have the temerity of calling me a keyboard warrior, despite the fact that that's exactly what they're doing, because surprisingly they managed to find out where I live despite the fact that I've never ever leaked my address in any sort of capacity. I don't know how the fuck or why the fuck that was possible, but they did. They did. Like, I can't. I just can't. Like, there's a lot of shit here. There's a time that I know a lot of people are gonna, like, you know. Like, there are times when I choose not to do certain things because I know how it's gonna have an impact on me and it's gonna have an impact on others. Even if I have a conviction about it, in the sense of this is something I absolutely believed in. This is something I absolutely believe in. I absolutely think about how that's going to affect the people I care about, or how that's going to affect me in a capacity. But there are some times when I feel like when accountability needs to be taken, it needs to be taken. But apparently people can't be fucking bothered to be held accountable for their actions. And that's what I hate about this community. I really do. Like, I'm just going through a whole lot of shit right now, and it's just fucking... This is why after this video is released and when New Year's Day comes, I will no longer be using the name Rebel Shadow. I will be distancing myself from that name completely, with a few exceptions. Those few exceptions being as, like, you know, my pseudonym as a music producer and composer, as an artist. Like, I will continue to use that name for a few things, but not as my main name. I'm no longer using that as my main identity. Primarily because the name has been tarnished to the point of no return, and I just don't feel comfortable identifying with that name anymore. I really fucking don't. This is why I just can't. This is why I will never ever believe people when they say that they care about minors, because these grown ass adults are literally going to put people like me, at the time when I was still a minor, people are literally going to put me in harm's way. I'm not fucking kidding. This is why I can't fucking stand people. Like, I am really upset about how this community has been acting this past year. Like, not only were people way too complacent and forgiving with problematic people. It's gotten to the point where I almost got doxxed, and also to the point where Reader was driven to the point of committing suicide. And I'm gonna address Reader later in this part of the video. Like, I am ashamed. I have no words except words of disappointment. This is not okay. Attempting to dox someone and attempting to drive someone to suicide is absolutely fucking horrid. And if you're into that, doing that shit just to get a rise out of people, I hope you're fucking happy with yourself. And I'm gonna say this right now: if you're proud of yourself, if you're actually okay and doubling down with the shit that you people have said and done to me all these years, I hope you're fucking proud of yourself. I hope you're fucking proud of yourself that a lot of you people who are grown ass adults basically got someone who was a minor at the time to actually end up trying to commit suicide multiple times. I hope you guys are fucking proud of yourself. I used to have so much fun associating and talking with the people around this community, and I went into 2023 expecting good vibes and a better attitude. Good to know we ended 2022 and 2023 with something so astonishingly terrible that even I want no part of it. I'm just letting you guys know that when I start rebranding on January the 1st, on New Year's Day, on 2024, I'm not cutting ties with anyone, but I just want to let you guys know that I am extremely angry. Not helping was the fact that when I was being accused of sexual abuse or sexual harassment, one of my friends, Valerie Robertson, actually ended up believing those false accusations against me. March 20th will forever go down in history as an unluckiest day of my life, because last year on March 20th, my reputation completely collapsed, and then on March 20th, this year, I ended up losing a shit ton of friends thanks to some accusations that were proven false. Well, seriously. Why? Why? You're not gonna, can someone please explain to me why every time I just want to be respected, people always throw shit like this in my face? And then, this year, I had to get involved in community drama after community drama after community drama, and you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna hold back anymore. I'm just not. I'm no longer holding back with this criticism. I will mention the fact that the only positive impact that 2023 had was the fact that I got into close contact with Sora the Panfloof, aka the creator of Halo Studios Boot Up. I will kind of get more into that later this year. And another thing, the fact that this year it was announced that CM Punk returned to WWE for the first time in 9 years at Survivor Series in November last month. And the fact that it was recently announced in October that Impact Wrestling would be changing their name back to Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, aka TNA Wrestling. Those were pretty much some of the only positive things that came out of this year. Another thing I should give credence to is the fact that a lot of crazy shit happened this year, such as yet another strike from the Writers Guild of America. Fucking cunt. All this because of the rapidly growing rise of AI technology and a shit ton of movies, despite a majority of them being live action remakes of animated movies, sequels, and some original staff, along with The Leftovers. Seriously, enough with The Leftovers, Disney, and a whole lot of stuff. This year, I would say it's just a mixed bag, but I think this was just another repeat of 2021. Remember my video discussing 2021, that year in review? Yeah, this one, holy shit. And to add insult to injury, not helping is the rising increase in homophobia and transphobia, especially shit you see on fucking Twitter. And not to mention the fact that there's a war between Israel and Hamas. That's not helping at all. Seriously, they're literally people in Gaza are literally suffering, and people are like not giving a shit. And the pro-Palestine protesters, who are very vehement about this kind of shit, are shoving it in other people's faces. Especially to the point where they disrupt public events. Like, for example, they tried to take over the Thanksgiving Day parade in New York City, and guess what happened? They got their asses arrested. And they also tried to take over the Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting, even so much to the point where they wanted to burn the fucking tree down. And what happened? They got arrested. And our generation is so fucked. We got a whole like, Jack, Ohio raise phantom tax. Shut the fuck up, you fucking faggots. Like, you're all a bunch of fucking retards. Like, seriously. In all seriousness. Like, this is why Gen Alpha is so fucked. Holy shit. Because you got all this unfunny nonsense coming from these dumbass kids. I swear to God. Because I really don't want to be, like, a grandfather in the future telling my grandkids that this is the kind of shit that we grew up with when we were younger. Like, holy shit. Like, this is why I hate our generation, because we are living in a generation where people are, like, feeling like they don't have an obligation to give a fuck. Like, it's these fucking Gen Alpha stands that can't spell for shit, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, nigga, your ass belongs on the fucking streets. And like, seriously, like, these people are the kind of people that can't spell for shit, and these are the kind of people who identify as all sorts of different types of sexualities, like fucking dream gender, or dream sexual, or anime sexual, or anime gender. Like, bro, you're not fucking valid. You're not fucking valid. And speaking as a person who recently came out as pansexual, I am gonna tell you this right now. We don't claim you. We do not claim you as part of the LGBTQ community. You make us look like a fucking joke, and therefore you should be mocked. You should be mocked for it, and you should be relentlessly harassed and bullied for it. Seriously. You really should be relentlessly bullied to death for it. Can't believe they won the sperm race just to turn out to be fucking douchebags. Clearly they've been dropped on their heads as a fucking fetus. No wonder they have a shit ton of extra chromosomes. And the best part of them wound up at the bottom of their dad's socks. Jesus Christ. Never in my life have I ever felt this angry. Like, I'm literally too fucking young to deal with this kind of shit. And already I feel like my blood pressure has risen to new heights. Holy shit. And all because I've dealt with so many things this year. Cause then there was a time around fucking, 20, around July, where I made a stupid and impulsive decision. Where I went after Wildcat, aka someone who I had beef with for 2 years. And not once did anyone, and I mean anyone, make any sort of fucking effort to rectify those issues with me. Not once. And the reason why Wildcat cut ties with me for no fucking reason 2 years ago in 2021 was simply because I had beef with Nancer at the time. Like, Nancer and I are pretty cool now, but Nancer, I had issues with him back in 2021. So yeah, that's why. And that shit made me so angry because I actually cared about Wildcat like a brother. That guy was actually someone who I had so many close and common interests with. And then he decided to cut me off simply because because at the time I had issues with someone that he liked. I had beef with someone that he was friends with. Like, if that is not an egregious example of immaturity, I don't know what the fuck is. Because that was just a seriously immature way of handling things. Because seriously, imagine blocking someone simply because they chose to fucking, like imagine blocking me for the stupidest reason, simply because I had issues with someone that you don't. That I had issues with someone that you like. So like you simply sent me, Nance, you're cool. Fuck you, smiley face, and then proceeded to block me, even though I never did a goddamn thing to him. And then I'm catching heat for it the next day because I'm catching heat at it in the IOX server the next day because. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go on full blast here. I'm holding people accountable now. Because Alan and Cadno, aka like members of IOX staff, decided to make the stupid mistake of scrutinizing me for that situation when it was not their fucking place to do so. Like, they barely knew a damn thing about me, and they decided to call me toxic and immature simply because I acted impulsively because of a situation that happened 2 years ago, which I still have beef with him, I guess, for. Like, because a situation that I still have beef with him for. Like, it was not their fucking place to get involved in a situation that did not fucking concern them. Like, it was not their fucking place to scrutinize me and then make me look bad and then call me and then it should not have taken this long for them to get results because the parties involved, aka Nancer and Wildcat, were being non-compliant with IOX staff. So yeah, I confronted Alan and Cadno directly about it and they apologized for it. And yeah, this isn't sour grapes, but you guys know exactly what I went through, and the fact that Fiend is the current co-owner of IOX, despite the fact that I've been through a lot with him, despite the fact that he put me through a lot the previous year, which granted he feels really bad for doing, but the fact that I as a victim went through all that and he gets a position and authority here, but I don't, makes me sick. There are many things that made me almost withdraw my broadcast deal with IOX, especially the August 5th, 2023 incident. And you know what happened on that day? Disregards. Like a show called Disregards, which was a cartoon, basically had a joke where one of the main characters at, like, you know, like, let's just say he got sexually assaulted by a bear, and you know, we've had people who are very like disrespectful and don't take their job seriously like they should, because they clearly act like they don't have an entitlement or they don't have an obligation to give a fuck about staff members. So so one of the staff members, who I'm going to absolutely excoriate right now, apparently she's acting like she doesn't have an obligation to show respect towards the IOX creators, but apparently we should show respect to the IOX staff. Why? Respect is a two-way street, bitch. Respect is a two-way street. So if you want us to respect you, it has to be reciprocated, whether you like it or not. And you are the reason why episode 4 of Disregards got taken down. And you know what? Let me tell you something. The August 5th, 2023 incident royally pissed me off. I know I'm supposed to be civil here, but at this point I'm done being civil with people, and I'm done giving clemency to people who don't deserve it. You're probably Bloom, I know you're listening to this. I hope you're listening to this. I know you're gonna be like, why can't you just let it go and drop it? No. Why can't you keep your fucking mouth shut for once and take your own advice? If anything, you've been hounding Pun, the creator of that show, the entire time after episode 4 of Disregards got released that day. Why? Because you got offended? Because your widow Fifi's got hurt? And then you have the audacity to act like you have any room to say anything when you allow what happened to happen. You literally ran a show that people liked off the platform. You basically wanted the creator of said show to completely compromise his integrity just for the sake of appeasing you. You prioritize your feelings over your own moral and ethical values. You made the choice to be a dick to people. Not just me, but also Nancer and Chris Valdespino, aka Ciari. They have their fair share of issues with you. And you know what? I'm gonna be blunt with you, Bloom. It's not that I don't have a respect towards IOC staff. It's because I don't have respect towards you. Okay? I think you're a fucking bitch. And if I had the chance to, if I had the chance to call you a, I would. And, like, you made the choice to be a dick to people. Not just me, but also Nancer and Chris. You are literally the reason why he's no longer a staff member in the IOC server. And when I confronted you about your unethical actions, your response was basically, big whoop, I'm not entitled to give a fuck. And to add insult to injury, you and a couple others chose to mock me for being justifiably getting angry about that situation. That is also unprofessional. Not like you care, because you clearly don't, because you apparently don't have an obligation to. I'm pretty sure you forgot about this, but if you're gonna be working in this field, you have to care about the people you're working with. And just as importantly, you have to operate ethically. You made a choice that you would do neither, especially you, a member of IOX staff, literally told an IOX creator, and I quote verbatim, I hope your IOX creator role gets taken away from you. And the fact that you're so lackadaisical and apathetic and devil may care about the impact of your actions, that is what pisses me off the most. You do not give a single flying fuck, and it shows. Your behavior that day pretty much shows us that whether or not you care about the content of IOX is only predicated on whether or not it hurts your feelings. And it also shows that whether or not you care about doing your job, let alone doing the right thing in general, is only predicated on whether or not it benefits you. That's proof that you don't deserve to be in the position that you're in. That is fucking abhorrent, egregious, unacceptable on every level. You also sound like the kind of person who would literally abuse your staff powers to ban people only when it's convenient for you. Hell, I bet you would even go as far as to ban people simply for holding you accountable for your behavior. Hell, since I'm holding you accountable right now, you would literally go as far as to ban me simply because I called you out. You are basically the epitome of the rebellious attitude constantly displayed by ignorant high school kids like yourself. So let me tell you something, little miss. My feelings about a controversial episode of a cartoon matter more than the feelings of the people at IOX. I hope your position as a staff member for IOX gets taken away from you. If two people can get fucking fired for finding value in that bear joke, then so should you. Because let me make it abundantly clear here. Most of you people are no better than Pun or the people defending the joke. Because some of you guys have said some of the most obscene things to and about him that I've ever heard. If any, at this point, I would go as far as to say that your actions should be ground for immediate termination. That's my statement. I yield my time. Piss off. You are a fucking asshole, and I stand by that. Your quote-unquote, I just don't give a fuck, so it's not my problem attitude disgusts me. P.S. If you're not entitled to give a fuck about your feelings, then we're not entitled to give a fuck about your feelings. So for once in your goddamn life, get your head out of your ass and stop acting like the world revolves around you, because it fucking doesn't. Not helping things was the fact that this was all Nancer's doing. Because when I got scrutinized by the IOX team for that incident regarding Wildcat, that happened. That fucking happened. And it got to the point where Nancer also got involved with Sora and had me kicked out of the boot up crew, which thankfully I managed to resolve with him over a week later. It should not have taken that fucking long for a situation to have been resolved. And all of this because Nancer's mad. Nancer got mad at the time that I called out Wildcat for a situation that happened between me and him 2 years ago. Which all of it was his doing. He provoked me, not the other way around. I demanded to be compensated in any way possible. So yeah, I'm the kind of person who would fight for things, even if I have a conviction about it in the sense of something that I really believe in. I'm the kind of person who would never give up on that. I'm relentless. I never quit. I never give up. Yeah, it's a good thing that Nancer came to my DMs and apologized for that whole thing that happened. Because that situation almost damn near impacted my friendship with Sora, which thankfully it didn't. God forbid it did. God forbid it actually did. So like, I don't think anyone is in any capacity to tell me anything when they clearly aren't any better. So like where the fuck do they think they have the where the fuck do they think they have the moral right to lecture me about anything? This is why I came up with the slogan, know your place, stay in it, and shut your mouth. I'm tired of people constantly taking advantage of me and my generosity and my kindness, because people's kindness has limits, and I'm way past my limit with people. Cause I find it absolutely fucking hilarious how people like to make sure that I'm on the receiving end of endless harassment and constant, drama and shit, and suffer no consequences for it. Like, I find that hilarious how people like to treat me like shit, and then I'm the one getting punished for it, but not them. This is why I don't ever want to hear from people say that they care about others again. Because I can't have a single day, like, not helping is the fact that I'm also having to combat fucking Republicans and transphobes on social media, much let alone Twitter, on a daily basis. And not helping this year was the fact that Duncan Burden, someone who I used to look to as a friend, like a brother, a confidant, someone who I cared about for 6 years, aka that same person who was responsible for damaging my reputation and career last year. Someone who I looked to like a brother would do that to me. Like, not helping was the fact that this year he got outed as a fucking child groomer. Like literally drew child porn of one of my friends who is like fucking 15 and masturbated in a Skype call with one of my friends. Who, oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys get the gist. If you've seen my videos talking about these things, you would know how much of a fucked up situation I'm in right now. Holy shit. So, like, if you're wondering why I'm pissed off, maybe it's because I am. And then let's get right into the time when I made my return to the Rhapsody Club after the original incarnation of the Conda Casa shut down at the end of last year. Which, thankfully, I'm glad it did. And I'm glad that Kai's Hellhole, the original Hellhole server last year I was in, shut down. I'm glad that server shut down, because that was one of two servers. That was one of a few servers where my reputation and career died. Because I have been through a lot this year. And last year. Not helping was the fact that my parents got divorced earlier this year, so that's something. And the fact that I was almost on the brink of facing eviction and homelessness, so that's something. But it's okay, you guys didn't think about it. Because clearly you don't care. Because clearly you don't care about the pain and suffering that I've endured. Because clearly you guys want to act like you're not entitled or you don't have an obligation to give a fuck about the feelings and safety of others. Not helping was the fact that when I was in a relationship, like, for 6 months with one of my partners. And by the way, Caitlin, I know you're watching this. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about another one of my partners, who I was dating since like mid-June, and this happened like a while after I dated you. And I'm glad. I'm honestly, Caitlin, I'm so glad I met you, because you are one of the few good things that actually happened to me this year. But as for my other partner, I mean, they've been going through a lot.
they've been going through a lot of mental health issues and personal stuff. But then there were multiple times when they took out their anger out on me, wrongfully. They took their anger out on me for all the wrong reasons. And even when I tried explaining my reasoning and rationale, and I tried, like, like, this shit just continued again and again and again. It's basically nonstop domestic relationship, like nonstop domestic verbal abuse. Because I've been on the receiving end of so many hurtful statements and a whole lot of stuff, and it just hurts me every single fucking time. Because this isn't the first time I've been shat on for wanting my boundaries to be respected during that relationship. It happened twice in June. It happened a few times in July. It happened quite a lot in August. It happened in fucking I think it was October or November, I don't remember. And recently it just happened after Christmas, and it led to me feeling so fucking depressed. Like, the shit they've said to me has hurt me beyond words. Like, this was not how I was expecting to spend Christmas. Because the shit they said to me has hurt me beyond words. And honestly, I don't know how to process this. I really don't fucking know how to process this. Because they have said a whole lot of stuff to me. I spent the next 3 days after that feeling chronically depressed. Like, I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't do all the positive stuff I really wanted to do. I couldn't focus at all. I genuinely felt like I wanted to off myself again and again and again. Apparently, I should not have been opening up about that because I have been through a lot. Jesus Christ. Like, I genuinely hate my life right now. I really do. It's not like fucking. Oh my god. Because apparently I have people shitting on me simply because of my emotional instability and people mocking me for it. It's not my fault that I was born this way. It's not my fault that I'm not a normal person. That I'm not an emotionally stable person. Even after years of seeking anger management therapy and just therapy in general, nothing has seemed to work. Nothing has actually seemed to work. This is fucking asinine. This is actually fucking asinine. The fact that people are going to actually be defending and supporting other people who have been, tormenting me to this extent. It fills me with so much unbridled rage. I feel the fire inside starting up again. Jesus Christ. And while we're on the subject of this, let's talk about my experience when I returned to the Rhapsody Club.
When I returned to the Rhapsody Club on June 15th, 2023, I managed to make peace with Nostalgia Works. He was very apologetic for all the stuff he did back in 2022 when he foolishly made stupid mistakes under Rosina's direction. And I am grateful for that. Because if I didn't rejoin the Rhapsody Club, I wouldn't have gotten a second partner. So I got better luck in June 2023 than I did in June 2022. Think about that. And it got to the point where for those 3 months, I tried to get back in Emily's server, but Emily like flagrantly made excuses about people being uncomfortable around me when the drama already ended back in December after Rosina's ousting. Literally no one had an issue with me after Rosina was ousted. And I returned to Emily's server in September. There was a whole lot of messages designed to attack me and dehumanize me and harass me. Like, I told Emily that she was obligated. I told Emily that she was obligated to take care of this because all of those statements were pretty much evidence that she and her friends, who were grown-ass adults, were complicit in harassing a minor to the point where he attempted to commit suicide multiple times. And you know what? It's gonna bother me. It really is. Like, when I told her to delete those messages, simply because I did not feel comfortable staying in a server where that made me feel unwelcome, like, her response was basically, just don't read it. That is literally the worst response to someone who you were complicit in harassing as a minor. It's like that actually made me really fucking angry, because you're telling me that you couldn't be bothered to try to rectify issues that you caused to someone who was a minor, and you couldn't be bothered to like delete messages that shows that you were complicit as adults in harassing a minor, but you could be bothered to participate in activities that were designed to harass said minor to the point where he attempted to commit suicide. Are those actually your priorities right now? Like, those are actually really fucked up. Like, those are actually really fucked up moral priorities. Because you apparently had no problem riffing on me during that time, but you couldn't be bothered to delete those messages. Like, I'm not the only minor that Emily and Rosina did this to. This happened with other people who were minors. Like, take for example my good friend Filippo Zirai, who better known as Crip Filipos, our fucking rolling 60s Crip, whatever you want to call him. Like, he went through it, and I had Emily and Rosina a year prior bitching at me simply because I was friends with him. Filippo's actually understood what I was going through, and I'm grateful to have a friend like him. Sure, he can be a little bit annoying, but I don't mind that. He can be only a little bit annoying, but that doesn't matter because that guy and I are still very good friends. He and I have been friends for 2 years. And this was pretty much examples of what I'm talking about when I say that Emily and Rosina were bitching and whining about me being friends with someone that they don't like. Cause why can't this community just be honest with itself? The truth is, it hurts their feelings, and it bothers that I'm friends with people that they don't like.
Because, like, essentially, this community's entire priority order is that, like, them being upset at me simply because I was standing up for myself was enough for you guys to A-log me for over half a fucking year. But you couldn't be fucking bothered to do the right thing when you were morally obligated to do so. That is fucked. I hope you understand that. Because that's exactly what I was getting out of your fucking priorities. If I sound really fucking pissed off, maybe because I am. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have enough drive in me to the point where I've been dealing with this kind of shit to my own detriment sometimes for over 3.5 years. You couldn't be fucking bothered to spend 3.5 minutes to fucking do something, to fucking do the right thing here. You couldn't be fucking bothered to spend 3.5 minutes to fucking do something about this shit. And then I questioned their integrity, just like how they questioned my integrity, because I asked them, basically, was the reason they decided to ignore any and all evidence of my redemption arc that because they simply didn't want to compromise their little place to fit in? Like, I feel like they basically tried to prioritize, like, I feel like they basically tried to prioritize their ability to hang out with people who they thought actually liked them over the safety of others. Clearly, because clearly they didn't care about me. Clearly they didn't care about what I was going through. This is why I don't ever want to hear people claim that they care about minors ever again. Because even when I confronted Emily about that, like, she and I were great friends with each other, and we still are. But the thing that broke my heart the most is that she lied to me. She lied to my face about the reason why she failed and refused to do anything about this sooner. And she said that it was because that she was scared that other people were gonna go after her, despite the fact that the drama literally ended. And you know, I could actually understand that if there was actually active drama against me going on, which there wasn't. That I could understand. Up until right now, I genuinely did not think or believe that something like that could have been done in an act of genuine cowardice. Emily, my friend, the way the internet works is that people can turn their backs against you for anything, because you guys literally did it to me last year over accusations that were proven false. Especially since you were the one who was complicit in poking your nose into my business last year. Like, I had a shit ton of people telling me that I had a lot of people invalidating my trauma. People telling me that I was faking shit for a reaction, faking feeling suicidal for sympathy points, despite the fact that I elaborated on the type of drugs that I tried to overdose on. I went through it. Someone who's younger, someone who by the way has a history of mental health issues, but you of all people, you were scared of it? Holy fucking shit. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest here. Like, I don't think you understand the severity of the situation, because, Emily, you don't understand. I'm angry. Because I can't stand that level of cowardice and weakness. There's two things I will never tolerate aside from my own moral standards. Cowards and liars. And you did both. You did both. And that hurts me personally. I'm not gonna pretend that it doesn't hurt me personally. Because, you know, clearly I thought you and I were under the same understanding that you and I were under the, I thought you and I were under the same understanding that we were both victimized by a fucking degenerate who does not operate under any single moral or ethical value ever given to her. Apparently, I'm the only person who actually understood that intrinsically. You didn't. Because you'll affiliate yourself with them.
you'll affiliate yourself with them. Holy crap. You know, there's only so much I can excuse of people putting me through these kind of things. You know, I've been told that I get really angry a lot, and I've been told that I should cut people some slack. But you know, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't now. I don't think I should anymore. I have every right to be angry about this kind of shit. Jesus Christ. And also, speaking of lying, let's go back to the reader situation. Let's go back to the time when I personally held him accountable for the shit that happened last year. I talked to him about about that time when he released an apology video. Reader released an apology video apologizing to the people who harassed us, but not the victims themselves. So he basically took his entire community and threw all of us under the bus. And I personally held him accountable for that. So yeah, as much as I really hate talking about drama, like, this has been something that has been on the minds of a lot of us in the community here. Like, while I appreciate that Reader went out of out of his way to apologize, it was still wrong. Because I'm over here, sitting here, why we as a community are expected to apologize to people who relentlessly harassed us and suffered no consequences for it. And you said in that video that Lioness has done nothing wrong, despite the fact that she literally has done a lot of shit wrong, which I mentioned in this video. Especially the fact that she literally associated herself with someone who is notorious for abusing animals and grooming children. Like you said, Reader, you said a lot. You said before that Lioness has done nothing wrong, but she's done a lot of things wrong and contributed to the harassment against us simply for giving her criticism. She, a full-grown adult, threatened to dox both me and Billy while we were still minors. I should add, and threatened to report us to the police over petty internet drama. And she encouraged her fans and her friends to harass and threaten a critic of hers until they were put in a vulnerable position. And I'm talking about the Dark Author, by the way. Major shout out to him. And she deliberately misgendered both Blazer and Lunaris, knowing full well that they were trans. And like I said, she literally allowed Raven Queen, someone who is notorious for sending nudes and lewd images to minors, and who was racist, homophobic, transphobic, and a massive bully to mostly minors and disabled people, and use her autism as an excuse for her actions, which, by the way, is fucking blasphemy in her fan base full of minors. Like, Lioness literally allowed her in her fan base full of minors because she believes that she has changed. So she's a pedo enabler and a pedo apologist. And she is engaged in allowing NSFW in her own server that has fucking minors in it. And has done many more. Almost all of which there is substantial evidence that could be used against her. So I really don't understand how the fuck we're supposed to apologize to someone simply for criticizing their faults. If she can't handle criticism to someone, if she can't handle criticism to the point, oh my god, like, if she can't handle criticism to the point where she enables her white knights to go after anyone who dares to criticize her, and that shouldn't be our problem, and it's a problem that she needs to work out by either going to therapy or getting off the internet for a while until she can function somewhat decently when receiving criticism for her own faults and behavior. Also, to address the people such as Herman and Hoax, aka Depresso C4D, Yeah, let's talk about that. Like I mentioned this earlier, these are people who have stalked me relentlessly at the time, and the latter, while I was still a minor, literally emailed me telling me to commit suicide. In that email, he called both me and Linares a faggot. Let's not forget that this person is a grown-ass adult, and they claim that they're in their 40s, but this is actually an alt account being run by a 20-year-old. So yeah, try covering up your stories there, cause like, dude, you literally make fucking animashes on your YouTube channel. 40-year-olds wouldn't even know what animashes is because they would pretty much do other things, like they'd be having a family or working a job, you know. They'd probably working in the financial realm, you know. They'd probably be working in the financial realm. So like, honestly, yeah, you're like there are some incongruencies and inconsistencies with the stories that they've been presenting us with, because we all know that there's a fucking lie, because of course it's Alyssa. Of course she's gonna lie to us, because she's been the same person who literally made an alt account, like she literally made an alt account where she was like, you know, I don't know what her cousin, like supposedly like dying of a heart attack or something like that. She faked that just for sympathy points. And for some people, she actually ended up getting people to believe in that. These are almost the same people who slandered me and made up horrendous lies about me last year, and ultimately convinced you, reader, to make the stupid mistake of cutting ties with me based on word of mouth and eyewitness testimony, with a lack of sufficient evidence to back up their claim. I'm not sure if you saw the evidence surrounding these people. I really hope you did. However, it would kind of feel like you're sweeping someone's behavior that has been backed up with substantial evidence like this under the rug. Like I said, I very much appreciate that you went out your way to take the mature action of being the bigger man and apologizing. However, like what you were doing basically felt like you were giving in to people who have done inexcusable things to us members of your community, and once again suffered no consequences for it. They suffered no consequences for it. What they did has had a rather detrimental impact on the community, let alone its members. And it's in my humble, honest to God opinion that such action should not be forgiven in any capacity. Especially since not only they went after me, they went after Dark as well. They tried to dox him several times too. I wasn't the only target. Wow. And then reader responds to my statement saying, "Wow, that's a lot. I honestly didn't know about the whole thing with Raven Queen. Jesus Christ, that's fucked." It really is, I said. It surprises me how someone like Lioness is actually complacent with keeping her around. She is the reason why while I was still a minor, made the stupid mistake. Like, I got manipulated into making the stupid mistake of defending Raven Queen. Well, like I said, I was a minor. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at the time. Also, and the reader says, also, I agree that they shouldn't be forgiven for anything they've done. The only reason I made that video was because of the fact that I said some things that I shouldn't have said and needed to take responsibility. However, that doesn't excuse what was done to them in any way. In fact, Herman himself actually apologized for everything that happened and admitted that what he and the others did was inexcusable. Despite that, I should have given more detail about what happened. They may have, and then I said, they may have apologized to you in particular, but made no mention of any of the affected parties, including me. So they basically did not apologize to me. So they did not directly take accountability for their actions. And then reader says, wow, just wow. I'm honestly not surprised. And I said, that's pretty much proof that they got away with their actions scot-free and suffered no consequences for it. Like, reader felt extremely guilty about it. Like, I was the one who actually, like, who was the one who actually held reader accountable? Who was the one who actually alerted him about this? Me. It was me. And after I told him multiple times to take action, he, for some stupid fucking reason, made the choice not to do so. And then reader said, "This is why I said if you want to be angry at anyone, be angry at me." And you know what? I am angry. Cause keep in mind, for quite a while now, he kept around people like fucking Space Voyager, who himself is a fucking degenerate, who clearly has a fetish for scat. He clearly has a scat fetish, and also made sexual comments towards Reader's sister. And I'm surprised that Reader didn't bat a fucking eye at that point. And not to mention, there was this one time on one of my live streams from 2 years ago when he made a comment shipping Reader with Lily Loud. A fucking baby. A fucking infant. Let that sink in for a second. And you know, it's gonna bother me. I'm not gonna pretend it's not going to. Like, I've legitimately lost faith in this entire community. I have. I genuinely have. So like, after weighing my options and reevaluating my own moral values, I realized that this community has basically allowed so much abhorrent, inexcusable, and unacceptable shit to happen to me that it's gotten to the point where I constantly ask myself, why the fuck am I still in this community? So let's review everything that happened. So last year, Reader basically ended up believing lies and slander about me and took action based on word of mouth and eyewitness testimony. Fiend was manipulated into believing those lies. We went through all that shit with Lioness betraying us for no reason, and Alyssa and her cultist fuck buddies and White Knights harassing us for over a fucking year. And when I told Reader about them, he didn't do dick all about it for months. And I repeat, months on end. Essentially putting me and other community members, including Dark Author, in harm's way. Like, in a sense, I felt like he knew what was going on, but he just didn't care. Not to mention, in that apology video he made, he gave in and apologized to people who were attacking us, but not the victims. He didn't apologize to the victims. It surprises me that so much that Reader basically kept people around like this that were either pedophiles or pedo enablers. Yes, I'm looking at you again, Lioness of Space Voyager. The former is a former pedo enabler, as she literally befriended Raven Queen. So, like I said, she's notorious for abusing animals and grooming children, and she manipulated me into befriending her as well. The latter is just a sick fuck who made sex jokes towards and about minors and didn't take action for a long time. And I'm surprised that Reader didn't take a long time. I'm surprised Reader didn't take action against them for a long time. Much to the chagrin of literally everyone in the community, including myself. Much to the chagrin of multiple community members including myself. It's amazing how it took him only until this year to finally fucking do something. The community he built, which was once promising, ended up becoming morally bankrupt, and only now did I realize it. I felt like I've been lied to for 3 years and didn't even see it. That's how hurt I am. I devoted 3 years of loyalty and trust in that man. But it clearly wasn't reciprocated. Not to a full extent. And up until right now, I genuinely had no idea that when Reader refused to take action, he did it in an act of genuine cowardice. Like, why? Because you were worried that people were going to start going after you? Oh my god. I mean, you kind of did the same thing that Emily did. You lied to my face when you promised me that action was going to be taken, but Emily lied to me about something else. But the only advice I can offer is this. If you're so worried about internet harassment, get off the internet. Frankly, I think you should do it to begin with at this point. Go get off the internet, tell your boyfriend to get off the internet, because your boyfriend's still connected with fucking degenerates in his Discord server, apparently. Like, yeah, because your boyfriend's still connected with fucking degenerates in his Discord server too, apparently, and can't control his actions. Jesus fucking Christ. So on one hand, you're worried about internet harassment. On the other hand, you didn't care enough to do anything when your friends are being put in harm's way. So you have some pretty inconsistent values in that. Holy crap. But now I'm glad you guys watched this video, because now I know exactly what happened throughout all these years. These people were upset. The people in Emily's community, especially the community that I was in, like, these people were obsessing over following the orders of a literal degenerate who psychologically tormented me so much to the point where I attempted to commit suicide multiple times, and they didn't even care enough to rectify these issues with me, and when they finally did, it took them 8 to 9 months to actually fucking do something about it. Thank you for letting me know. I never want to hear any of y'all niggas ever try to morally grandstand about anything ever again until you guys get your lives corrected. This is asinine. This is inexcusable. You're mad about people like me who say really offensive things. Boo-hoo. Jesus fucking Christ. This is why I never ever want to hear any adults in this community claim that they care about minors. I never want to hear those words come out of anyone's mouth ever again, because clearly you don't care about minors. If you cared about minors, you would have rectified that issue with me a long time ago. And not helping was the fact that, like, once again, the verbal abuse I had to face with one of my own partners. Like, I understand they have this kind of feeling of jealousy. They do have this feeling of jealousy, and they also, like, you know, have this feeling of being needy and stuff like that. I can understand that because, you know, because we're literally dating. But some of the stuff they said to me makes me feel like I should prioritize them over everything else. Because, you know, I wanted to stop doing this for the sake of my mental health so I could focus on my college education and so I could focus on seeking employment. But clearly I can't even do that. Clearly I have to prioritize them over everything else. So I guess moving forward, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And I wanted to stop, and I wanted to remain neutral in drama because I made it explicitly clear that I didn't want to pick sides. But clearly I can't even do that. Clearly, I have to be involved in drama at every single possible avenue. So I guess moving forward, I guess that's exactly what I'm going to do. This is inexcusable. This is asinine. There is literally no fucking reason why any of this shit had to happen. It's because I've been on the receiving end of a lot of horrific and horrendous shit. Especially caused by people in the same community as me. So of course I deserve compensation. And for anyone who has the temerity or the audacity to tell a fellow like me the world doesn't revolve around you, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to keep your fucking mouth shut before I knock your fucking teeth right down your fucking throat. Because I really don't think you're in any capacity or in any position to say anything when you yourself aren't any better. And there you go. I really don't know what else there is to say, honestly. I really don't know what else there is to say here, other than the fact that, like, I don't know what else there is to say right now, because I have been put through a whole lot of horrendous and inexcusable shit. And it got to the point where my mental health has been fucked up beyond all comprehension. And honestly, I've had beef with so many people that it's not even fucking funny. I think right now we've pretty much covered everything that we need to talk about. Cause like, if I'm forgetting anything, yeah, I will probably make a brief footnote after this video is released. I will probably do that. And then I will actually take note of this situation. How does this? Because there are people who have done me wrong in every capacity, and I just will not fucking tolerate it. So, you know what? I'm glad I came out and opened up about this, because this has been harming my mental state for far too long, and I'm glad I finally opened up about it, because if I kept my mouth shut about this any longer, it would, like, continue to haunt me, and it would haunt my dreams and haunt my nightmares. It would fucking eat at me at night. So I'm glad I refused to keep my mouth shut and actually said something. And I should also mention that this isn't the first time I've dealt with verbal abuse. I dealt with it when I was younger as a child. For the most minuscule things, I would get constantly, like, verbally abused in school. I've had people constantly bullying me in school. I've had, like, And recently, before I graduated high school, I was taught that I should always keep my mouth shut about my emotions. like that, because they have this conservative belief that once you grow older, you're not allowed to express your emotions. I fucking hate that mentality. It pisses me off to no end. Because I have gone through a lot. And I'm gonna say this right now. I hate it how maturity is measured by age, because people think I shouldn't show emotion anymore because I'm a legal adult at the age of 18. Like, I agree with what people are saying about acting your age, but I wholeheartedly hate the idiotic stigma that once you become a legal adult, you're suddenly not allowed to have emotions anymore because you'll be seen as childish. Showing emotions is a normal part of what makes us human. And if you disagree with that, if you think otherwise, suck my dick. Like, if you actually believe in your heart of hearts that having emotions makes people childish, then I want you to do me a favor here. Go find a window. Make sure there's a high distance from the point of impact when you jump out of it. You know what? I'm actually glad that I opened up about this. I really am. And fuck it. I've been holding in a lot of shit for far too long, and I think I need to release my anger in a way that's much more healthy for me. And you know what? I think I'm gonna do that as soon as this video is done premiering. So yeah, I'm pretty much fucking done with everything and everyone at this point. So yeah, thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. I think this is gonna be the end of the video, and I have gone through, like, I don't know, like a whole lot of shit happened here, and I'm just like trying to process all this nonsense. Hopefully, when 2024 comes, things will change. Hopefully for the better. But yeah, this is where I'm going to end this entire thing, because I've been ranting and raving and rambling for too long. Because, like, you know, I don't fucking know anymore. I just don't know what I'm going to do with my life, because I have been chronically angry, and I swear I mean chronically angry, and I don't like being that kind of person. So, after this video's release, I'm going to rebrand my channel. And then 3 days after I rebrand this channel, I am going to take a break from the internet for over a month. I won't be back until mid-February. So yeah, hopefully I won't be having to deal with any more drama and shit. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this video, because like I feel like I really need to end this year off with a bang, because this shit really needed to be talked about. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat, because I post new content almost every single day. Well, actually, rather whenever I feel like it. So yeah, I'm like, the whole purpose of this video was to address everything that happened this year and the year before, and to hold others accountable for it. So yeah, that's pretty much what the whole point of that video was. So take care of yourselves and each other, and stay blessed, folks. And to the people watching this video, and to all of my fans and subscribers and loyal friends, I'm going to be taking a break for a while, so I hope you guys take good care of yourselves, and I love you guys so much. You guys mean a lot to me. And as for the politically correct and easily offended people who are going to be coping and seething about this in the comments, please get bent. No one likes you fucking retarded faggots either. I'll see you guys later. Good night. Another new day. What else can go wrong? No, I'm not okay. That's why I'm singing this song. There's so much drama that left me with trauma. I fucking had enough of life. A life of misery, suffering and strife. That's 'cause reality will cut you like a knife. Life is a hassle 'cause people are assholes. I fucking had enough of life. I'm feeling stressed out, it's something I can't hide. I really want to commit suicide. Norfolk